everybody. I was just doing some glazing of some logo mugs that I was making, and something that I learned recently within the last couple of months, and then did a little bit of research and found out that I needed to worry about it, so I thought I would share it. Maybe this will help you out. So in making, let me just grab one here. Making a thin porcelain like this, one of the issues is that if you don't dip it all together, the inside and the outside together, some moisture seeps through. So if I glaze the inside of this one color, which I'm going to do, moisture from the glaze kind of seeps through or gets absorbed into the clay body. So then if I immediately go and dip it in another glaze for the outside, I get an uneven application. So I was having trouble with that, and so I kind of looked around. Sure enough, that's a common thing. I didn't even know. So here's how I do it. So I take, this is red, so I take and I fill the inside up with red. Hopefully I'm in frame. And then I dump it out, and then I dip the rim in red. I go around and dip it in red, and then give it a little shake. Okay. So, boy, it's probably tough to see on the thing, but I can feel it. It's wet out here now. Let me see if I can tell the difference between. Well, you know, I can kind of see it a little bit in one that hasn't been glazed and one has been glazed. So it's moist out here, so I need to let that sit. Maybe a day, maybe a couple of hours, depending on where you are. But I'm going to set this over here and let that sit until I'm going to glaze the outside. Maybe later today. So here's another thing. If you have bisque sitting around, which I do, because I make it, fire it, and then it might sit for a few weeks or months. Sometimes they get dust in them. So take a little brush and, you know, just make sure you get all the dust out of it, all the little places where dust can collect wherever there's a lip. You know, you'd be surprised, even on this little lip right here, dust can collect. Just give it a little before you glaze it. You don't want to glaze on top of a layer of dust for obvious reasons. Okay. Pour it out and dip the rim. Now this is a copper red, and you want to get the copper red nice and thick. So what I've done is, I know that, so I made my copper red thick so that I don't have to wait around for it to absorb the right level. So I know I can just dip it, wait for a second, and pull it out. But I know if I don't do that, it'll be too thin, it'll turn a green or not that deep red. Sometimes it'll kind of be a pinky, blushy red if the oxidation is still real heavy. So that's how I glaze my red. I think I'll bring you in a little closer so you can see that. I'm sure there's so many videos on it, but brush it out, you know, make sure there's no dust in it. I'm doing it over here because I don't want the dust to fall into my glaze bucket. Brush it out. Fill up my thing. Go ahead and pour it in. All the way to the top. See that? All the way to the top. And just pour it out. You got to do it with a quick movement. Pour it out with a quick movement. And then before that rim dries, I dip it in. There you go. And then, you know, that's a runny glaze, so it'll melt real well. Anyway, a nice thick application. You probably can't tell in the video, but there you go. You glaze, make sure next time you glaze, make sure when you glaze, if you're glazing the inside, different than the outside, to go ahead and, you can glaze the inside first, the outside first, it doesn't matter. But make sure that in between applications, you give it a good long time for that to dry. It's a little moist out here, so you're going to have to let it dry for quite a while before I'll have to wait for quite a while before it's dry. Here's an example. So these platters that I had made, I made these, well, it's more like a bowl, not a platter. But anyway, I made these 3 bowl platters about, boy, when did I make those? Oh, boy, almost a week ago, and look, they're still pretty moist, which is fine as long as I flipped it upside down so the top is drying as fast as the bottom, that kind of thing, and I trimmed it at the right time, so now I'm just letting them dry real slow. In the summertime, when things dry around here a little faster, I cover it with plastic, but because here in the wintertime it's so moist right now, I didn't have to cover this with plastic. So with these, because it's got kind of a flat bottom on it, see, like this, I try to let these take a good 4 or 5 days, well, maybe even longer, maybe 5 to 7 days to dry. So anyway, just thought I'd share with you something I learned in the last month, a problem I was having. So, get out there, get your hands in some clay, and make something. Merry Christmas.